What's up, dudes? I thought I would do a quick comparison between the Gerber center drive, which is probably the first good Gerber multi-tool in a fair while in my opinion. I mean, I like the MP 600 and stuff, but there's some issues with those. They've got a really limited tool set and just getting a bit out of date. So this one really, in my opinion, is the first one that's really caught my eye. Keen on the MP one as well, giving that a shot. I just never really seemed to see them in Australia. But yeah, this one is actually reasonably successful so far, and I think it's been relatively well received by the market as well. So you pay about 150 Australian dollars for the Gerber center drive. You pay about $100 for the Leatherman Rebar these days, and you pay about 180 bones for the Leatherman Surge. So I'm sort of going to talk about them. I'll just compare the tools and just sort of weigh in about how it all kind of lines up. So let's get all these buggers open. Let's have a look. It's the Leatherman Rebar opening there. There's the Leatherman, the Gerber center drive opening there. You've got the Leatherman Surge opening there. So you've got in each of them some pretty decent pliers. The Leatherman Rebars are quite a bit smaller than the Leatherman Surges, and then you've got the Gerbers, which are, like most things on the tool, somewhere in between. So I think the main difference here will be that these are internally sprung. So that's a good thing because it makes them go like this, which some people do enjoy, and to be honest, I do enjoy that. If I'm working up a ladder, I'm very rarely using plier multi-tool pliers for like really heavy duty stuff, like crunching nails in half and stuff. I have seen these fail crunching a nail in half, but I don't really do that sort of stuff with my multi-tool pliers, so I'm not too bothered. But probably something you do need to know is when pliers are internally sprung, there is a lot more hollow in the steel and in the mechanisms here, so probably are a bit more frail. Whereas Leatherman Surge, super beefy, super heavy duty, manual opening and closing pliers. And then the Leatherman Rebar, just a sort of shrunk down version of the same head. Looking at like the ability to turn bolts, the Gerber's actually doing quite well. It's actually got a really good broad section of knurling around here, whereas the Rebar actually cuts quite short. It only has about sort of maybe 2/3 of the amount of little ridges for grabbing, and you find these cutters actually can get in the way when you're trying to grab a bolt. So it's something I've noticed throughout the couple of years I've been, probably 3 or 4 years I've been using this actual same Rebar now. A great tool, held up really, really well. I think I've done a follow-up review on this not too long ago. And Leatherman Surge, this is the one that I've been keeping in my work gear. Really, really good heavy-duty multi-tool. Seen some shit, man, this thing has. But still really, really super solid. And, it's obvious in a next up size and weight class from this and from this, but it's what I've got on the table. So we're just sort of comparing these tools. Let's look at the blades. So the center drive and the Surge both have outside opening knife blades. So the Surge has the plain edge there, the center drive has its plain edge there, and the Rebar you have to open up to get your plain edge blade on the inside there. So in terms of having like a quick access knife, the Surge and the center drive both do really, really well. You see they're about the same length as well, so really sort of Gerber's definitely trying to catch up with the Surge on this sort of mid to large size multi-tool. Done really, really well there. The Rebar, these multi-tool knives, they're pretty utilitarian. You're never going to get the best steel in the world. I'll do a quick steel test right now and we'll see which one holds for the longest. Well, there you go. So, other outside openable tools. The center drive has one other, which is the screwdriver shaft. The Surge has a file or a saw, whichever you want to sub into here. It has a serrated blade, which this has inside, and it had a pair of scissors. So much more complete tool set in the Surge. Whether you use those tools, I don't know. To be honest, I never used the saw or the scissors or the file, so that's just me though. The outside opening screwdriver I think is a great feature because it's probably my most commonly used multi-tool tool, the screwdriver, and in pretty much all of them you need to be opening them up to get to the screwdrivers inside. The surge there, and the rebar, obviously everything's inside that one too. So there you go. So really, in terms of like accessibility, I think these two are about evenly matched on the tools that I actually am going to use. Let's look at what the complete complements are. So the Rebar has 3D Phillips, can opener, saw, serrated blade, and then a knife, file, 2 different types of flathead screwdrivers, and an awl. Pretty decent tool selection. Which ones do I actually use though? Sometimes, very occasionally, never, often, very occasionally, never, sometimes, never, sometimes. So it's, you know, as with all multi-tools, you're going to get tools that you probably never use, but then you might get tools that you never use that other people use all the time. So, you know, keep a lot of them in there. That's all good. Not saying that they could have spent the space differently on any of these. I think multi-tool for me really just needs to be plier, screwdrivers, and then some form of utility knife. Inside the Gerber scale, you've got some, kind of, they've gone a bit different. They've gone the file, which is the same as you get on the MP600 series. You've got the world's worst serrated blade, which is just not even sharp. It's like they've painted it or something, and so it's gummed up the edges. That's just garbage there. That's just crap. And then yeah, that's probably the only real knock. The the file is fine if you use the file on your tools. You've got a very, very sharp little awl that I just poked myself with. Just a little sharp piece of steel, that's what you get there. And then you've got this little cat's paw thing, which you've got to give them... Goodness me, something's upset Cedric. This little cat's paw thing, which you've got to give them credit for being a little bit different and going with something that's, you know, I think we all do pry with our, you know, heavy screwdrivers, so they've just taken that away and said, you know what, stuff it, here's a cat's paw and nail pull and stuff, so that's kind of cool. And I think you can use that as a bottle opener as well, I think. But I never use the bottle opener on these things anyway. Those kind of work sites aren't where I work. So smaller tool selection on the center drive, but in my opinion, you know, creative enough to warrant a, you know, reasonable nod of the head. Then on the Surge, you've got sort of the same kind of drivers on the Leatherman, those like large flat, small flat, and then an awl on this side, and that is it. And then on this side, you've got your little screwdrivers and your can opener. So really, of all the inside tools, that is what I'm using. Sometimes I use the big heavy screwdriver to pry, and that is it. So let's get to the main event, and probably the thing we all know the Gerber's going to win on. It's the screwdrivers. So look at that. So you got a, you know, the Leatherman bit kit and bit exchanger is nothing to snort at. It's a great little concept and it's been around for ages. Probably kind of the first of the first. But really, Gerber is doing it a whole lot better with this new iteration. So, you know, nothing to laugh at with the Leatherman Rebar. It's got some, you know, it's got the drivers you need. It's fine. It's always had a good 3D Phillips driver, no problems at all. But you have a hard time beating that one. You really do. That's just excellent. It's long, it's thin, it's universal. You can put any of the, like the, you know, get a toolbox and you've got all these little ones sitting around from your last electric drill you bought. You can fit any of them in. It's magnetized. It's pretty comfy to use. It's got like a certain degree of like comfort and almost elegance in how they've got your hand laid out, gripping it and twisting it. Best screwdriver I've ever seen on a multi-tool, without a doubt. Fantastic stuff. These ones, they're not terrible, but they're just short, man. So what do you know, what else can you say? You got all the versatility of having, like, you know, your double-edged or whatever, and, you know, all the different sizes that these come in. That's all great, but when you get that length and you got that universality, it's definitely the winner. So there you go. So that's these tools compared to each other. Let's, like, in terms of weight, they're sorted by weight right now. So the Rebar, then the Gerber, and then the Surge. I'll just put the weights below them in a photograph I'll put on the screen and take right now. Bing! And then you've got, like, I don't know, about the same amount of utility, in my opinion, in all three of them. So it really does come down to that sort of mechanism that you're after, the look you're after. I mean, the Surge is probably still the most full-featured. If you are after just sheer volume of tools, absolutely. It's got scissors, it's got like the couple of extras, it's got this saw thing. So if you're after like the all-encompassing multi-tool, the Surge is probably still the one to get, or the Wave. But if you're after something a bit different and the driver is important to you and you like the absolute one-handed ability of it, because you can use everything on this pretty much apart from the inside tools, you can use all this outside stuff one-handed. So it's really, really well done like that. Everything locks, like the screwdriver locks and all that sort of stuff. So you can use everything one-handed if you are, you know, dexterous enough. So there you go. I think the Gerber center drive is like a real proper win for Gerber. I've used it a little bit now, like a fair bit. I haven't smashed it or hard used it, so it could well be the case that one day I try and cut a nail and it just explodes and catches fire, and you know, sets my shirt on fire, and then I have to take my shirt off, and everyone laughs at me because I've got like a soft body. But you know, that's something that we might have to face one day, but it's not now, so there we go. And then we've got the Rebar, which is a great little everyday sort of house multi-tool. Has everything you might need to like build some quick IKEA furniture or something like that. But yeah, I kind of prefer the two like heavier duty ones in terms of actually like taking it out to like somewhere where I'm building something, that's for sure. Anyway, my little thoughts on these three versus each other. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope it's been of some value. Definitely give the center drive a go if you're after something different in your multi-tool. It is cool, especially once you're warm to it and you figure it out. It's a bit weird at first, but once you're there, it's actually like an enjoyable little tool. And the pliers do loosen up, so don't stress about that as well when you get it. They will fly out with authority eventually. Alright, no worries dudes. Hope you've enjoyed. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.